Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamlam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Kupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming. So today we will do the second part of Unit 15 revisions. Today we'll revise Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapters 5, 6 and 7. And towards the end of the class today, I will also briefly answer Shivangi's question from last time about Nar Narayan. So we'll start with Canto 4, Chapter 5. Now we don't have any presenters. Is anybody still willing to do the presentation for Chapter 5? Okay, so I will briefly describe Chapter 5. Chapter 5 is titled Frustration of the Sacrifice of Daksha. So Bhrigu Muni had created Rubu demigods who had driven away soldiers of Lord Shiva stationed at the sacrificial arena. When Lord Shiva heard the news of Sati's death and that his soldiers had been driven away, hence Lord Shiva created the tall black demon Virabhadra to retaliate. Now this quarrel between Lord Shiva and Bhrigu Muni, centering around Prajapati Daksha, is the practical example of such competition between the different qualitative modes of material nature. Even when one is situated in the mode of goodness, there is every possibility that his position will be mixed with or attacked by the modes of passion and or ignorance. This is the law of material nature. Pure goodness or Shuddha Sattva is the basic principle of spiritual world, and this pure goodness is not possible as long as one is under the modes of material nature. Therefore, the struggle for existence between different material qualities is always present. Virabhadra and his associates destroy Daksha's sacrifice. Virabhadra tore off Bhrugu's mustache, plucked out Bhaga's eyes, knocked out Pusha's teeth, and beheaded Daksha. As the greatest Vaishnava, isn't Shiva supposed to have compassion and forgiveness qualities? So how do you make sense that instead of compassion and forgiveness, Shiva has become angry and sends a demon to kill the offensive Daksha? How do you make sense of it? The answer is it was actually good for Daksha to have been killed. Lord Brahmaji explained to the demigods that although Daksha wanted to enjoy the results of rotative sacrificial activities, it is not possible to enjoy when one offends a great personality like Lord Shiva. It was actually good for Daksha to have died in the fight, because if he had lived, he would have committed such offenses at the lotus feet of great personalities again and again. According to Manu's law, when a person commits murder, punishment is beneficial for him, because if he is not killed, he might commit more and more murders and therefore be entangled in his future lives for having killed so many persons. Therefore, the king's punishment of murderer is appropriate. If those who are extremely offensive are killed by the grace of the Lord, that is actually good for them. Therefore, Lord Brahmaji explained to the demigods that it was actually good for Daksha to have been killed. So this is one of the reasons of how you understand Shiva's actions. And the second is Lord Shiva's punishment of the demigods. There is a gulf of difference between punishment imposed, say, by a conqueror on an enemy, and like that of a father imposes on his son. Lord Shiva is by nature a Vaishnava, a great devotee. And his name in this connection is Ashutosh, that he is very easily satisfied. Shiva is always satisfied, and therefore he did not become angry as if he were angry on an enemy. Lord Shiva is not inimical to any living entity. Rather, he always wishes the welfare of all. So whenever Lord Shiva chastises a person, it is like a father's punishment of his son. Lord Shiva is like a father because he never takes seriously any offense by any living entity, especially the demigod. So it was more, so Lord Shiva's punishment of Daksha is more of like the father imposes on a son and not like an enemy. That's a quick summary of chapter 5. It is a very short chapter. Questions, comments, realizations? All right, chapter 6. Sridhar Prabhu is going to do.
Krishna, Prabhuji's and Mataji's, Dandavat Pranams, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, chapter 6 is titled as Brahma Satisfies Lord Shiva. So, this chapter, if you look at, this chapter is divided into 5 parts. So, the first part is demigods approach Lord Brahma for help, because as Prabhuji just concluded the previous chapter, so Veerabhadra creates havoc, and so the demigods come for help to Lord Brahma to pacify Lord Shiva. So that is the first part. Second part is the description of the Kailasha hill, and the third part is the description of Alaka region. And the fourth and the fifth ones are darshan of Lord Shiva as seen by demigods. And the fifth one is Brahma glorifies Lord Shiva and petitions him. So from 1 to 6, if you look at, so all the priests and other members of the sacrificial assembly and all the demigods, so approach Lord Brahma for help to speak to or pacify Lord Shiva. And because both Lord Brahma and Vishnu did not attend the sacrificial arena, because they know beforehand this is going to happen. They did not go to the sacrifice because of that. And when Lord Brahma heard everything from the demigods and the members who had attended the sacrifice, Lord Brahma said that you cannot be happy in executing a sacrifice if you blaspheme a great personality like Lord Shiva and thereby offend his lotus feet. And you cannot have happiness in that way. That is what is being told. And he clearly says that the sacrificial portion was excluded, was not offered to Lord Shiva. And therefore, you are all offenders at his lotus feet. Still, if you go without mental reservations and surrender unto him and fall down at his lotus feet, he will be very pleased. So Lord Brahma over here teaches us saying that if we offend any Vaishnava, what is the etiquette that we need to follow over here? So he's telling to the demigods how if we offend a Vaishnava, we should fall and surrender, ask forgiveness, and then that is what we should do. And over here, after that, Lord Brahma also advised them that Lord Shiva is so powerful that by his anger, all the planets and their chief controllers can be destroyed immediately. He told the power of Lord Shiva. And he said that Lord Shiva was especially sorry because he lost his wife, Sati. And under the circumstances, Lord Brahma suggested it would behoove them, the demigods, to go at once and beg his pardon. And then the demigods started to for the abode of Lord Shiva, which is the Kailasha hill. From shloka number 9 till 22, the beautiful description of Kailasha hill is being described. So the abode known as Kailasha is full of different herbs and vegetables, and it is sanctified by Vedic hymns and mystic yoga practices. And Kailasha is full of mountains filled with all kinds of valuable jewels and minerals. And there are many waterfalls. And there is always the rhythmic sound of the peacock's sweet vibrations and the bees humming. There are tall trees with straight branches that appear to call the sweet birds. The whole of Kailasha hill is decorated with various kinds of trees, of which the following names may be mentioned: Mandara, Parijata, Sarala, Tamala, Tala, Povidara, Asana, Arjuna, Amritajati, Kadamba, Dhuli Kadamba, Naga, Punnaga, and so on, which produce flowers with fragrant aromas. And there are other trees which decorate the hill, such as the golden lotus flower, and so on and so forth. And then from 23rd to 31 is the description of the Alaka region. There the demigods saw the two rivers named Nanda and Alakananda. And these two rivers are sanctified by the dust of the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda. And after so here the description, what are the activities that are done by the higher planetary living entities has been described, saying that the damsels of the heavenly planets bathe in the water. It becomes yellowish and fragrant due to the kunkuma from their bodies. And the airplanes of the heavenly denizens are bedecked with pearls, gold, and many valuable jewels. And while traveling, the demigods passed over the forest known as Saugandhika, which is full of varieties of flowers, fruits, and desire trees. And all these atmospheric influences unsettled the forest elephants who flocked together in the sandalwood forest. And then moving on to verses 32 to 41, which describe the darshan of Lord Shiva as seen by the demigods. So there was a large banyan tree which was 800 miles high, and its branches spread over 600 miles around. The tree cast a fine shade which permanently cooled the temperature, yet there was no noise of the birds. The demigod saw Lord Shiva sitting under that tree, which was competent to give perfection to mystic yogis and deliver all people. So Lord Shiva sat there surrounded by saintly persons like Kubera. And demigod saw Lord Shiva situated in his perfection as the master of the senses, knowledge, fruitive activities. And Lord Shiva was the friend of the entire world. And by virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious. And his sitting posture is also being described over here. His left leg was placed on his right thigh and his left hand was placed on his left thigh. In his right hand, he held Rudraksha beads and his fingers was in the mode of argument. And then Lord Shiva's lotus feet were worshipped by both the demigods and demons. However, in spite of his exalted position, as soon as he saw Lord Brahma and the other demigods, he immediately stood up and offered him respect by bowing down and touching his lotus feet. And the example is given over here, just like Vamana Deva offered his respectful obeisances to Kashyapa Muni. So Vamana Deva is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God, and Kashyapa Muni and Aditi bore Vamana Deva as his child. And then from 42 on to 53, Brahma glorifies Lord Shiva and petitions him. So Lord Brahma said, my dear Lord Shiva, I know that you are the control of the entire material manifestation, the combination father and mother of cosmic manifestation, and the entire Supreme Brahman beyond the cosmic manifestation as well. I know you in that way. So if you look at Lord Shiva's position, Lord Brahma knew the position of Lord Shiva. He is on a higher position than Lord Brahma. And the system of sacrifices through the agency of Daksha was introduced, and thus one may derive the benefits of religious activities and economic development. Under your regulative principles, the institution of the 4 Varnas and Ashramas is respected. And in one of the shlokas, in 43rd, I think, one second, Prabhu. So there is an example or an analogy given saying that, okay, so over here in the purport of 43, the mode of ignorance or tamoguna is considered very much lower than others, but in the higher sense, it is also auspicious. And an example is given that the government has both an educational department and a criminal department. An outsider may consider the criminal department inauspicious. However, from the government's point of view, it is as important as the education department, and therefore the government finances both departments equally without discrimination. And then Lord Brahma says, O most auspicious Lord, you have ordained the heavenly planets, the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, and the impersonal Brahman. Similarly, for others who are miscreants, you have destined different kinds of hells as well. And in the end, Lord Brahma concludes saying that, O destroyer of the sacrifice, please take your portion of the sacrifice and let the sacrifice be completed by your grace. That is what Lord Brahma requests Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna. Thank you for this opportunity. Hare Krishna.
All right. Any questions, comments, realizations for Sridhar Prabhu?
Thank you, Mr. Prabhu. He always makes very detailed presentation, very informative. Thank you.
Prabhuji, good description of the Kailasha and Alka regions, Prabhu. It was like a visit there.
Correct. Yes, Prabhuji. Each and every detail was quite explained very well. Thank you, Prabhu.
Very crisp. One is tempted to visit Kailasa.
All right. Yes, Sridhar Prabhu did a very good job. Thank you all for glorifying Sridhar Prabhu also. So I don't really need to do, because I'll be repeating what Sridhar Prabhu already, but let me also summarize chapter 6 in brief. So chapter 6 is titled Brahmaji Satisfies Shiva. So after Daksha's sacrifice was destroyed by Virabhadra, all those who had been injured, they fled. And they approached Brahmaji for help. So we already discussed this point that Brahmaji explained that it was good for Daksha to be killed because he would have otherwise continued to commit offenses at the lotus feet of great personalities and continue to stay entangled in the material world. Therefore, the king's punishment of a murderer is appropriate. And those who are extremely offensive are killed by the grace of the Lord, and this is actually good for them. This way, Lord Brahmaji explained to the demigods that it was actually good for Daksha to have been killed. And then Brahmaji asks Lord Shiva that Shiva is known as Ashutosh, easy to please. Ashu means very soon and Tosha means to be satisfied. And therefore, Brahmaji asks all the demigods to please Lord Shiva. And then description of Kailasha Hill is given, that Kailasha Hill is filled with herbs, valuable jewels, minerals, varieties of trees, waterfalls, beautiful caves, sweet vibration of peacocks, bees humming, cuckoos singing, flower-bearing trees, fruit-bearing trees, lakes full of various birds, etc. And seeing the beauty of Kailasha Hill, demigods were struck with wonder of its great opulence. And similarly, the description of the Alaka region is also given. The chapter also describes that Lord Govinda, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is described as Tirthapada. Tirth means sanctified place and Pada means the lotus feet of the Lord. The Lord's lotus feet are called Tirthapada because under their protection there are hundreds and thousands of saintly persons who sanctify the sacred places of pilgrimage. Srila Narottam Das Thakur, a great Acharya of the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, advises here that we do not need to travel to different places of pilgrimage because it is troublesome to go from one place to another. But one who is intelligent can take the shelter of lotus feet of Govinda and thereby be automatically sanctified as a result of his pilgrimage. So anyone who is fixed in service of the lotus feet of Govinda is called Tirthapada. He does not need to travel to various places of pilgrimage because he can enjoy all the benefits of such travel simply by engaging in service of the lotus feet of the Lord. The demigods get darshan of Lord Shiva, where Lord Shiva is sitting surrounded by saintly people like Kuvera and the four Kumaras. So the four Kumaras were liberated from birth, and Kuvera is the treasurer of demigods, who is fabulously rich. And Lord Shiva's association with Kumara and Kuvera indicates that Lord Shiva has all transcendental as well as material opulences. He is qualitative incarnation of the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Lord Shiva's position is very exalted. And during the advent of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sadashiva appeared as Advaita Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu's chief concern was to elevate the fallen conditioned souls to the platform of devotional service of Lord Krishna. Because people were engaged in useless occupations which would continue their material existence. Lord Shiva, in the form of Lord Advaita, appealed to the Supreme Lord to appear as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to deliver these illusioned souls like me. Actually, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared on the request of Advaita Acharya. Similarly, Lord Shiva also has a sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya. He is always thinking about the deliverance of the fallen souls as exhibited by Advaita Acharya. Lord Shiva is so exalted, still upon seeing Brahmaji, Shiva stood up and offered his respectful obeisances to Brahmaji, because just as Kashyapa Muni was in the category of living entities, but he had a transcendental son, Vamana Dev, who is incarnation of Vishnu. So although Lord Vishnu is Supreme Personality of Godhead, he offered his respects to Kashyapa Muni. Similarly, Lord Krishna, as a child, he used to offer his respectful obeisances to his mother and father, Nanda and Yashoda Maya. And also at the battlefield of Kurukshetra, similar behaviors are described by juniors offering obeisances to seniors. So it appears then that personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, other devotees, in spite of their being situated in exalted positions, instructed to us by practical example how to offer obeisances to their superiors. Lord Shiva offered his respectful obeisances to Brahmaji because Brahmaji was his father, just as Kashyapa Muni was father of Vamanadev. So although Brahmaji received respects from Shiva, Brahmaji knew that Shiva is more exalted than him. Therefore, now Brahmaji glorifies Lord Shiva and petitions Shiva to forgive Daksha, who was influenced by Maya. Brahmaji is saying that Daksha initiated dharma, and since Daksha is dead, therefore dharma will be destroyed, causing misfortune of the world. Therefore, Brahmaji requests Lord Shiva to revive Daksha, forgive Daksha and revive Daksha. Now, the mood of devotees during calamities is described that from the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam 10.14.8 is that when a devotee is in calamity, he takes it as the benediction of Supreme Lord and takes responsibility himself for his past misdeeds. In such a condition, he offers still more devotional service and is not disturbed. One who lives in such a disposition of mind, engaged in devotional service, is the most eligible candidate for promotion to spiritual world. Such a devotee's claim for promotion to spiritual world is assured in all circumstances. So here it appears that Brahmaji seems to be blaming Shiva, that why should Daksha die? And similarly, why does the impious Ajamil get liberation? Therefore, Brahmaji will clarify that Shiva's punishing Daksha is not due to anger. Rather, is Shiva's mercy, because there is no difference between Lord's anger on a demon and his blessings on a devotee, because both are blessings at spiritual level. Lastly, the difficulties of performing the Vedic rituals in Kali Yuga are described that if we do not work for satisfaction of Supreme Lord Vishnu, then reaction of work will bind us. One should not work for his own sense gratification. Everyone should work for the satisfaction of Vishnu. This is called yajna. The performance of yajna is very difficult task because all demigods must be invited to participate in the yajna. In this Kali Yuga, it is not possible to perform such costly sacrifices, nor is it possible to invite the demigods to participate. Therefore, in this age of Kali, it is recommended Yajna Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti He Sumed Shaha. It's described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.5.32 that Sankirtan Yajna is the Yajna for Kali Yuga. That's a quick summary of chapter 6. Questions, comments, realizations. All right. Chapter 7. Shalini will start and Kalyani will finish. I'll play Shalini's recording.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, Dandvat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances, seeking permission and blessings from you all, Srila Prabhupada and all gurus in disciplic succession, and Shri Shri Radha and Krishna. I would like to present a summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 7, verses 1 to 15. Please forgive me for any shortcomings or mistakes. In the previous chapter, Lord Brahma and all the demigods who were present in the sacrificial arena went to pacify Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, thus being pacified by the words of Lord Brahma, spoke. He did not mind the offenses by demigods. Lord Shiva is like a father because he never takes offense from any living entity, especially the demigods. There are two types of punishment. One, a conqueror imposes on an enemy, and the other that a father imposes on the son. There is a difference between these two kinds of punishment. Lord Shiva, a Vaishnava and a great devotee, is always self-satisfied and therefore did not become angry. He is not inimical of any living entity. Instead, he wishes the welfare of all. Whenever he chastises anyone, it is like the father's punishment of his son. He gave Daksha the head of a goat, and Daksha still acted like himself. This means that a particular consciousness of individual soul that acts, and the brain substance is only an instrument and has nothing to do with real intelligence. The real intelligence, mind and consciousness are part of a particular individual soul. And the whole movement of Krishna consciousness is to purify one's consciousness. It doesn't matter what kind of brain one has, because if one transfers one's consciousness from matter to Krishna, one attains the highest perfection, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, regardless of whatever abominable condition of life one may have fallen into. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, all personalities were very much satisfied upon hearing Lord Shiva's words, who is the best among benedictors for both materialists and spiritualists." Thereafter, Bhrigu, the chief of the sages, invited Lord Shiva to come to the sacrificial arena to revive the sacrificial fire. Once everything was executed as directed by Lord Shiva, Daksha's body was joined to the head of a goat. Daksha actually took another body when he took the head of a goat, but because the consciousness is individual, his consciousness remained same, although his bodily condition changed. Thus, the bodily construction has nothing to do with the development of consciousness, and consciousness is carried with the transmigration of soul. And this is the arrangement of Lord, which is so nice that if a person's consciousness is turned to Krishna consciousness, there is no doubt in the next life he will be a great devotee of Krishna, even if he is offered a different type of body. King Daksha was fully awakened to his proper senses, and he knew that the punishment was simply a mercy of the Lord. With pure consciousness, he began to offer prayers to Lord Shiva. He said, "My dear Lord Shiva, I have committed great offense against you, but you are so kind. Instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me." Lord Shiva punished Daksha not as one does to his enemy. Rather, he punished him just to bring him to senses, so that he would know that he had done wrong. Daksha could understand this, and he acknowledged the great mercy of Lord Krishna and Lord Shiva towards the fallen Brahmanas, including himself. Lord Shiva is always interested to protect animals and the animalistic living entities who are not very advanced spiritually. He is known as Pashupati, the protector of Brahmanas and other living entities. And Lord Shiva's punishment is just like that of a cowherd boy who keeps a stick to frighten his animals. Force is required for the animalistic class of men, whereas those who are advanced and convinced by spiritual authority. Persons who are simply attached to Vedic rituals without further advancement of devotional service or Krishna consciousness are almost like animals, and Lord Shiva is in charge of giving them protection and sometimes punishing them as he punished King Daksha. Daksha says he did not know Shiva's full glories and insulted him with words and was going to hell, but it is Lord Shiva's compassion upon him who saved him by awarding him punishment to neutralize the offense. Daksha appreciated that the punishment was Lord Shiva's mercy. A devotee in Krishna consciousness never takes any miserable condition of life to be a condemnation by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He accepts the miserable condition as a grace of the Lord, and he thinks, "I would have been punished or put into a more dangerous condition of life due to my past misdeeds, but the Lord has protected me. Thus, I have received only a little punishment as a token execution of the law of karma." Thinking of his grace in that way, a devotee always surrenders to the Supreme Personality of Godhead more and more seriously and is not disturbed by so-called punishment. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
All right, Kalyani will finish rest of the chapter.
Prabhu, would you mind, can you just, I'll share an image that she is going to present, Prabhu.
All right.
The 8-handed form of Lord Narayan.
Okay, you should be now able to share.
1 second, Prabhu, I'm just going to share.
Hare Krishna Mataji and Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Seeking the blessings and permissions from everyone and from the Devotee Association, Guru, Acharya, and Srila Prabhupada and Sri Radharani. Please forgive for any shortcomings in this presentation. I'm going to summarize Canto 4, Chapter 7, from verses 16 to 60. Thus, being pardoned by Lord Shiva, King Daksha again began the performance of the yagna along with the great learned sages, the priests, and the others. The yagna arena was contaminated by the presence of Lord Shiva's followers. Therefore, the entire arena had to be sanctified. That sanctification was possible only by the chanting holy name of Vishnu, Lord Vishnu. Upon sanctified meditation of King Daksha and other Brahmanas, Lord Vishnu appeared in his original form as Narayana. Here, the description of Lord Narayana is presented in this way. The face of Lord Vishnu appears like a lotus flower with bees humming over it. The Lord appears just as the morning sun rises to protect the whole universal creation. His arms display different weapons, and his 8 hands are compared to the 8 petals of a lotus flower. All the weapons mentioned are for the protection of his devotees. Lord Vishnu looked extraordinarily beautiful because the goddess of fortune and a garland were situated on his chest. His face was beautifully decorated with a smiling attitude, which can captivate the entire world, especially devotees as well as the non-devotees. In verse 24, Prabhupada explains the medicine and diet of spiritual life. The medicine is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. and the prasad is the diet, and the ability to pray the Lord is by Lord's mercy. As soon as Lord Vishnu was visible, all the demigods, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, the Gandharvas, etc., immediately offer their respectful obeisances by falling down straight before him. So from verse 26 onwards, the demigods offer various prayers to Lord Vishnu. Here, although these prayers are straightforward prayers, some of the prayers offered by various demigods consist of two things. First, a praise for the Lord without sufficiently understanding his glories. And second is, some of these prayers are indirect criticism or blaming others. Knowingly or unknowingly, even they may not even know that they're criticizing. But Acharyas have commented that some of the prayers indicated the indirect criticism. And it is not obvious from the verse when we read. So let's, I'm in essence of time, I'm mentioning here some of the prayers by some of the demigods. Like here, Daksha addressed the Supreme Personality of Godhead as transcendental. My dear Lord, you are transcendental to all speculative positions. You are completely spiritual, devoid of all fear. You are always in control of the material energy. Even though you appear in the material energy, you are situated transcendental. You are always free from material contamination because you are completely self-sufficient. Now, the Acharyas had said that the criticism part is that you alone or the Lord take the coverings of knowledge, and others take covering of ignorance like Shiva. So this criticism is not obvious through verse. The priests pray that because of Nandi's curse, we are absorbed in karma, and hence we do not know the truth about you. We are simply executing the yagna mentioned in 3 Vedas. The comment with Acharya is that here our criticism is that the priest meant that how can Daksha know you? Because this is interpreted by the way the priest was staring at King Daksha with the corner of their eye. That how can the Daksha know you when we don't even know you, when he doesn't know anything about you? Lord Shiva said, my dear Lord, my mind and consciousness are always fixed on your lotus feet, which as a source of all benediction and fulfillment of all desires are worshipped by all liberated great sages, because your lotus feet are worthy of worship. With my mind fixed on your lotus feet, I am no longer disturbed by persons who blaspheme me, claiming that my activities are not purified. I do not mind their accusations and excuse them out of compassion, just as you exhibit compassion toward all living entities. Here, Acharyas have commented that Lord Shiva is saying that my mind is fixed on your lotus feet, and those who do not have knowledge like Daksha say that I have broken the rules of the good conduct. Please, here Bhrugumuni says that, please forgive us. Bhrugumuni was conscious of the scandalous behavior exhibited by each and every one of them, including Brahma and Lord Shiva, in the sacrificial ceremony of Daksha. By mentioning Brahma, the chief of all living entities within this material world, he wanted to state that everyone, including also Brahma and Lord Shiva, is under the concept of the body and under the spell of material energy, all but Vishnu. That is the version of Bhrigu. As long as one is under the concept of body as self, it is very difficult to understand the super soul or the supreme personality of God. So one should depend only on the causeless mercy of the Lord for deliverance and not even slightly on one's own strength. Lord Brahma prays that, my dear Lord, your personality and eternal form cannot be understood by any person who is trying to know you through the different process of acquiring knowledge. Your position is always transcendental to the material creation, whereas the empiric attempt to understand you is material, as are its objectives and instruments. Here, Acharya explains that Brahma means that your transitor Swarupa cannot be understood by anyone. So how can people like Bhrigu, who have taken shelter of material senses, can see you? The sages prayed. Even great demigods like Brahma worship the goddess of fortune in order to win her favor. But although the Lord is worshipped by many hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune, he is not at all attached to any one of them. And the great mystics pray that, dear Lord, persons who see you as non-different from themselves, knowing that you are the super soul of all living entities, are certainly very, very dear to you. You are very favorable towards those who engage in devotional service, accepting you as a Lord and themselves as a service. By your mercy, you are always inclined in the favor. It is indicated in this verse that the monists and the great mystics know the Supreme Personality of Godhead as one. This oneness is not the misunderstanding that a living entity is equal in every respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Brahmanas praises that the Lord Vishnu is everything. That is the five, the offering, the clarified word. It is confirmed here in the performance of Sankirtana Yagna in this age is as good as all other yagnas in all other ages. If one performs Sankirtana Yagna by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, there is no need to arrange elaborate paraphernalia for the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies recommended in the Vedas. Brahmanas indirectly criticize the followers of Lord Shiva, but because the Brahmanas were always protected by Lord Vishnu, Shiva's followers could not do any harm to the prosecution of the sacrificial process. Personified Vedas say, you are transcendental to all material qualities and no one knows you or your actual situation. The positive transcendental qualitative manifestation is unknown to the students of Vedas as well as to the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Actually, the transcendental qualities are manifested only to the devotees. Hence, after all these prayers by various demigods, Lord Vishnu is actually the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. Yet, because of his being the super soul of all living entities, he was simply satisfied with his share of the sacrificial offerings. He therefore addressed Daksha in a pleasing attitude that, and to all other demigods, he addressed as thus. Lord said that Brahma, Lord Shiva, and I are the supreme cause of the material manifestation. I am the super soul, the self-sufficient witness. But impersonally, there is no difference between Brahma, Lord Shiva, and me. The Lord continued, my dear Daksha, I am the original personality of Godhead, but in order to create, maintain, and enlate this cosmic manifestation, I act through my material energy, and according to different grades of activity, my representations are differently named. The entities have different bodies, but originally in the beginning of creation, Lord Vishnu is alone. For the purpose of creation, Brahma is manifested, and for annihilation, there is Lord Shiva. The Lord continued, one who is not in proper knowledge thinks that demigods like Brahma and Shiva are independent, or he even thinks that the living entities are independent. A person with average intelligence does not think the head and other parts of the body to be separate. Similarly, my devotee does not differentiate Vishnu, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, from anything or any living entity. The Lord continued, one who does not consider Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, or the living entities in general to be separate from the Supreme, and one who knows Brahman actually realizes peace, others do not. Therefore, the Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Vishnu are separate, but at the same time they are one. This is the philosophy of simultaneous oneness and difference. In order to achieve real peace, one should see everything and every living entity, including Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, as non-different from Supreme Personality of God. No one is indifferent. After the addressing of Lord Vishnu, Daksha, the head of all Prajapatis, having been nicely instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, worshipped Lord Vishnu. After worshipping him by performing the prescribed sacrificial ceremonies, Daksha separately worshipped the Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Thus, worshipping the Supreme Lord Vishnu, Daksha was completely situated on the religious path. Moreover, all the demigods who had assembled at the sacrifice blessed him that he might increase his piety, and then they left. So after this, after Maitreya explains all this, he mentioned that he heard that Sati, after giving up the body which she has received from Daksha, Dakshayani took her birth in the kingdom of Himalayas. She was born as the daughter of Meena. Having said, Maitreya said that he heard this from authoritative sources. And Ambika, goddess Durga, who was known as Dakshayani, again accepted Lord Shiva as her husband, just as different energies of the Supreme Personality of God act during the course of a new creation. The great sage Maitreya concluded If one hears and again narrates with faith and devotion the story of the Daksha Yagna, as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of all contamination of material existence. Hare Krishna. Please forgive for any shortcomings. Thank you.
All right. Any questions, comments, realizations for Shalini and Kalyani?
Both have done very well. Well done.
Prabhuji, all good qualities of Shiva was explained very well by Shalini Mataji, and consciousness is because of the soul was also explained very well by Shalini Mataji. And how a Krishna conscious person takes a punishment, Prabhuji. Kalyani Mataji's explanation of law.
We lost Mother Jija's voice.
I repeat,
Yeah, Mother Jija, repeat.
Prabhuji, all good qualities of Shiva was explained very well by Shalini Mataji. The consciousness is because of the soul was also explained very clearly. How a Krishna conscious person takes punishment also was very clear, Prabhuji, by Shalini Mataji. Kalyani Mataji explained Lord Narayana's description very well. It was very divine, Prabhuji.
All right. Okay. Yes, both Shalini and Kalyani have already done a very good presentation of chapter 7. Let me quickly summarize chapter 7 as well. Chapter 7 is titled The Sacrifice Performed by Daksha. So Shiva satisfies Brahmaji's request, and Lord Shiva revives Daksha's life with a goat's head because there is a gulf of difference between punishment imposed by a conqueror on an enemy and like that of a father imposes on his son. Lord Shiva is by nature a Vaishnava, a great devotee, and he is known as Ashutosh, to be easily satisfied. He is always satisfied, and therefore he did not become angry as if he were angry on an enemy. Lord Shiva is not inimical to any living entity. Rather, he is always wishing the welfare of all. Whenever Shiva chastises a person, is like father's punishment of his son. Lord Shiva is like a father because he never takes seriously any offense by any living entities, especially the demigods. Srila Prabhupada explains an important principle that soul is the cause of intelligence and not what scientists think that brain is the cause of intelligence. Brain is just a gadget. Example, a child presses a start-stop button to play with a toy. Now, this toy is very preliminary technology. The child is given a sophisticated laptop with all kinds of applications. But child's intelligence is limited. Hence, the child will not be able to do much with that sophisticated laptop. So along with technological gadgets, there also has to be evolved intelligence which can use these gadgets. So animals may not be able to do philosophical thinking because animals' brain is not developed. But brain is just a facility. Brain is like a gadget. Beyond the gadget, it's the conscious soul using the facility for more deep thinking. And soul is the source of consciousness. And soul has to use the brain. So human brain has much more capacity, but still the brain is just a tool, a gadget. Human brain tool is more sophisticated than the brain tool, which is the animal brain. But no matter how sophisticated the tool may be, the person using the tool also has to have that capacity, that skill to use that sophisticated tool. So when Daksha's head was exchanged with that of a goat, Srila Prabhupada says that modern scientific theory that brain substance is the cause of all intelligence is not valid. The brain substance of Daksha and that of a goat are different. But Daksha still acted like himself, even though his head was replaced with that of a goat. The conclusion is that it is the particular consciousness of an individual soul which acts. The brain substance is only an instrument which has nothing to do with real intelligence. The real intelligence, mind, and consciousness are part of a particular individual soul. After Daksha's head was replaced by the goat's head, Daksha was as intelligent as he was previously. Daksha prayed very nicely to satisfy Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu, which is not possible for a goat to do. Therefore, it is definitely concluded that brain substance is not the center of intelligence. It is the consciousness of a particular soul that works intelligently. Daksha starts a sacrifice and Lord Vishnu arrives. Lord's beautiful form is described. And then Daksha, as well as demigods and various members of the assembly, they offer prayers to the Lord. Now, some of these prayers offered by various participants of Daksha's sacrifice consist of two things. One is praise of the Lord without sufficient understanding of his glories. And second is some are indirect criticism or blame of others. Now, these points are not obvious when you literally read the translation, and therefore Acharyas have explained the real meaning of these prayers. So Daksha's prayer is that you are pure, situated in spiritual abode, transcendental to all speculative positions, completely spiritual, one without a second, fearless, controller of Maya, unaffected by Maya, though present in material world as Purusha Avatar, and self-sufficient. And for this prayer, Acharyas have commented that you alone are the Lord and take the coverings of knowledge. Others taking the coverings of ignorance like Shiva, though playing human roles, do not know how to act. Now the prayer of priest is that because of Nandi's curse, we are absorbed in karma. We do not know the truth about you. And Acharya's comment is, how can Daksha know you? Because the priests were glancing at Daksha. And prayer by assembly members is, when will persons on troublesome path of samsara take your shelter? And Acharya's comment is that if Daksha does not surrender to you, then what can you do, my Lord? Lord Shiva, prayer is that my mind is fixed on your lotus feet. I do not consider criticism of ignorant. And Acharya comment is that those who do not know or do not have knowledge like Daksha say that I have broken rules of conduct. Bhrigu, prayer is, please forgive us for our behavior, because even Brahmaji, Shiva, and myself are covered by ignorance. Therefore, we cannot understand truth about you. And Acharya comment is, even Brahmaji, Shiva, do not know the truth about you. Then Brahmaji prayer is, your transcendental Swarupa cannot be understood by material knowledge. And Acharya comment is, how can people like Bhrigu, who have taken shelter of material senses, know you? Then Indra's prayer is, your eight-handed form is for the welfare of the universe and is pleasing to the mind and the eyes, just as we saw on the screen a few minutes ago. Thank you for sharing the eight-handed form. And the Acharya's comment is, your mercy, by your mercy, we are able to see your form. The wives of the performers of sacrifice prayer is, please revive the sacrifice. And Acharya comment is, without Lord's presence, nothing can be accomplished. The sage's prayer is that your activities are astounding. You are not contaminated and not attached to even Lakshmi. And Acharya comment is, other performers of actions are attached. Demigod prayer is, you are protector, maintainer and destroyer of this universe. Please protect us. And Acharya comment is, you are known by your servants and not by others. Brahmana's prayer is, we offer respects to you who are sacrificed, personified as Varahadev. Chanting your name destroys obstacles. And Acharya comment is, obstacles to sacrifice were the followers of Shiva. The Lord then instructs Daksha that there is no difference between Lord Brahmaji and Shiva, meaning there is no difference between Vishnu, Brahmaji and Shiva, because all jivas are his tatastha Shakti. Only ignorant people see differences. My devotees never see difference between me and the jivas, just as one does not see any difference between himself and his limbs. Lastly, Daksha completes the sacrifice, worships Vishnu and Shiva. And then Sati is reborn and Sati marries Shiva again. And the last couple of verses describe the benediction of hearing this pastime is that the sins will be destroyed. That's a quick summary of chapter 7. Questions, comments, realizations? So all of you are doing very, very good presentations, and you can just continue doing this. You all have perfected the presentation approach. Just visualize how we all started and where we are. This is progress. This is elevation. Thank you all. Super excellent execution by all. Now, I only want to comment here one small point, that if you miss a class, you are listening to recordings, which is very good. You should try to provide at least one striking point and at least one inquiry to me offline. This will force you to listen to the recording. Otherwise, you are just assembling the recordings and they sit and keep accumulating. So many of you are already listening to recordings. Some of you, if it is a challenge, then force yourself by sending me at least one striking point and at least one inquiry so that you are on track. Everybody can do that, please.
Prabhuji,
Yes, Guruji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Uncle?
Prabhuji, in fact, whenever a devotee presents, followed by your refined interpretation, which is also a revision. I take down notes, both points, and it becomes, when you write quickly, of course, I'm not able to keep pace with the speed in which you describe, but still, key points, I have noted everything. So, at least I think most of them are doing that. So, your feedback inquiry is to ensure that we are not mechanically sitting, but we are strictly following, because the whole topic is very exciting and interesting, and realization begins right from in the hearing. For example, I have realized so many things in life. For example, the latest is the soul matters, not the intelligence here. So, and I also want to tell me, you were telling me I am not able to follow. That's why when I was going through the 7th chapter, the various prayers by Brahmanas, demigods, Brigumuni, and etc., and Acharya's description. How did you bring those things? I am not able to understand. How do I go about that? I hope I have not confused you.
Yeah. So it's super excellent that you are taking notes and hearing with rapt attention, as well as like some of you, how you comment for the various presenters, means you are all hearing with rapt attention. So this is perfect, not just by Uncle, but by everybody. Now, in terms of Uncle's inquiry, I also did not know from the simple read what acharyas are saying. So in terms of how I come to know about what acharyas comment is because before I have also studied Srimad Bhagavatam, and I have heard from acharyas, and I'm only repeating what I have heard. So this is the hearing process, to hear in parampara. I did not know when I read the verse. So just as when I ask you all to read the chapter before the next class, is the same instruction I also get when I go to my Srimad Bhagavatam classes. So I also read this, and I did not know all these acharyas' comments until I hear from the acharyas in parampara, and this is the parampara process. This is the hearing process in parampara, that it is the uncontaminated hearing process that we all have to follow, not by our own contaminated mind. Our own simple read, yes, it is good, but it can only take us so far. We have to hear from the acharyas, the great acharyas. I'm only repeating. When I'm doing class, don't think I am some great. No, I don't do anything. I don't do anything. I only repeat what I hear. And I'll give you the perfect example. So for example, last class, Shivangi asked this question about Nar Narayan. So I had to go and research, and I will just now answer about Nar Narayan. So I will only repeat what I heard and researched for this Nar Narayan. So that's what we are supposed to do. Uncle?
Little clarification further. When I read this Srimad Bhagavatam chapter 7 up to 61, I could not find this Acharya's description, Prabhuji.
You are correct.
Have I missed anything?
Yeah, you are correct. It's not there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have discussed that there is Shruti and there is Smriti. Shruti means the words spoken by the Lord, and Smriti means what acharyas have interpreted and clarified for us. So the Smriti may not always be there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Smriti is always we have to hear. Shruti is also hearing. These are the words coming from the Lord. But you are absolutely correct. The Acharya's comments are not there in the Bhagavatam that we have. So when we study the Srimad Bhagavatam, the teachers, they incorporate commentary of senior acharyas such as Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur or Jiva Goswami or Baldev Vidyabhushan, and then of course some other disciples of Srila Prabhupada also have these insights. So all that gets covered when we study. Therefore, I have said that this Bhakti Shastri course and this Bhakti Shastri course is on the Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Shishopanishad. It is pretty intense. And same way, the Srimad Bhagavatam course, which is Bhakti Vaibhav, and for the first 6 cantos, and then Bhakti Vedanta for the remaining 6 cantos, it is pretty intense. It's a lot of effort that goes through in these courses. And therefore, if you recall, when I had to write the exams, I had to cancel our classes so I can study. So it's no
I
child's play.
understand. I understand.
Does that answer?
Another thing I want to share with you, Prabhuji, when I do this Maha Mantra, as you sometimes you yourself told us, that I'm not able to concentrate. Sometimes my mind is deviating here and there. But in this class, I want you to be assured that 100% rapt attention. I'm not able to deviate in a nutshell.
Yeah, this is the power of
Mind
Bhagavatam.
doesn't deviate.
Yeah, you are correct. And this is the power of devotee association, and this is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam. You are absolutely correct. So what we are trying to do here in devotee association, and this is taught by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met the devotees, he will just sit and just recite Bhagavatam and discuss Krishna Katha and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Why? Because in devotee association, it is relishable. The mind is literally focused. The mind has no other place to go. This is why you are able to focus, is because you are relishing. You are getting this higher taste. Therefore, the lower taste does not matter. So if you just keep continuing this, you are correct that yes, other times the mind does deviate. So this is a practice. You just continue, and soon the mind deviating during other times will also stop, and will also, during those other times, mind will also be focused exactly like how you have the mind focused during Bhagavatam class. And it is spectacular that you have the mind focused at least during these 1.5 to 2 hours time.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very good. That was very good realization and very good execution. Exactly what we have heard from Sutta Goswami, that somehow or other, hear Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention. That was perfectly demonstrated by Uncle. Very good. Srila Prabhu Kalyani.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I mean, in progress to the whatever comments and explanation was given in response to this Prabhu, regarding Lord, this chapter 7, what I just want to confirm my understanding is whenever demigods appear, like Lord Vishnu appears before Lord, this all demigods, maybe demigods with whatever unlimited knowledge, they might know the Lord Vishnu's qualities or whatever, but they were not completely in transcendental understanding of Lord Vishnu because they have not been in experience in that birth or whatever, like taking the reference of Lord Shiva. As a Sadashiva might be completely understanding, have a complete understanding of the qualities of Lord Vishnu. But in this birth as Shiva, that Sati story, he doesn't really completely, might not be having, I mean, understanding of Lord Vishnu. Is it so?
So you are absolutely correct that Sadashiva definitely knows the Lord, but all of the demigods are at the Jiva Tattva level like you and me. And yes, demigods are devotees, but definitely not all demigods are pure devotees. Say, Brahmaji is pure devotee among demigods, or Yamraj is pure devotee among demigods. But rest of the demigods, yes, they are in administrative positions because of their elevation in devotion to some extent and because of their past deeds. But definitely all demigods are not pure devotees. Therefore, the demigod's understanding of the Lord will always be up to a limit. It's not 100%. Of course, nobody can know the Lord 100%, but it will be limited. Demigod's understanding of the Lord will be less than what pure devotees know about the Lord. Kalyani?
Yes, Prabhuji. So coming to the criticism part also, basically because of being of their ignorance, their words indirectly represented the criticism, right? I mean, no, not really intentionally. I mean, in the process of praising the Lord, it went for the criticism. Is it so like that? Because of the ignorant nature of...
Yeah, you are correct. Yeah, ignorant. So, and Acharyas have stated that even the criticism, they didn't really realize that they were criticizing. So, for example, when the priest were saying that that Daksha does not know you, and they were glancing at Daksha at that time, so they were only glancing at Daksha with their side of the eye. And that's what they were actually meaning. That how does Daksha know you? No, it's not possible for Daksha to know you. So even the criticism, they did not know, all those who were doing this criticism, they did not know that they were actually criticizing.
But here only in the Daksha's part, is there anywhere criticism for the Lord, or only criticism for each other among the demigods?
Yeah, criticism is for each other, not the Lord.
Even in the Daksha's prayer also, when we say you are something, you are taking the covering of the knowledge.
Let me clarify. So Daksha's prayers, the Acharya's comment is, Daksha is saying that you alone are the Lord, and you have all the knowledge. But others, taking the covering of ignorance like Shiva, though playing role, they do not know. Now here Shiva is not necessarily referring to Sadashiva. So understand that the Acharya's comments are not all criticism. They are comments as well as criticism where there is criticism. So the first part of the Acharya's comment is that what Daksha is saying is that you alone are the Lord, you are full in knowledge. While the second statement of Acharya from Daksha's prayer is that those who have the coverings of ignorance, they do not know you. Kalyani, everybody?
Yes, Prabhuji. So this could be taken as a comment, not as a criticism for the Lord, or for the Lord, in reference to Daksha's prayers, I am saying.
Correct. So Acharya's comment is either a comment and or a criticism, depending on what it is. So when I was doing the presentation, I didn't use the word criticism when I was explaining each of these prayers and each of these comments. Yes, some of them are obvious criticism, but I was more focused on the comment part to clarify that what exactly the Acharyas are saying by each of these individual prayers. Kalyani?
So in other words, if we take the reference of Acharya's comments or criticism, in whole it represents that whatever they are talking, demigods, they are really not have the full understanding of whatever they are talking, basically.
Correct.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Absolutely correct. And that's what I said, that if you hear the recording again, and I will repeat right now, that Daksha starts the sacrifice prayer and Lord Vishnu arrives. And then Daksha as well as the demigods offer prayers. So some of these prayers offered by various participants of Daksha consist of two things: praise of the Lord without sufficient understanding of his glories, and some indirect criticism or blame, and acharyas have presented comments on these prayers as to what they are meaning. So again, even the criticism is indirect, not exact words, except for one or two where the exact words are there about criticizing words. But otherwise, even the criticism is indirect, not direct. Kalyani?
What I understood from this whole this parts part 4 and 3 is, even though all these whoever participants of sacrifice do not have complete understanding of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but still by the mercy of the God, they could see him, they could take the blessings from him and the results or the fruits of the sacrifice.
You are correct, absolutely correct. And therefore, the prayers of the wives of the performers, the wife said to the Lord, please revive the sacrifice. And the Acharya's comment for this prayers of the wife is that without Lord's presence, nothing can be accomplished. Kalyani?
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
All right, last few minutes, I will answer Shivangi's question about Nar Narayan. So I will only briefly answer. This is again a very elevated subject matter. So if you go from the start of Canto 3 discussion, after the difficult news that Krishna has gone back to Goloka Vrindavan, now the focus is on what Uddhava needs to do. And Krishna told Uddhava that go to Badrika Ashram where Nar Narayan Rishis are there. So these are twins. They are not one, they are twins, Nara and Narayan. And Krishna said that what Krishna has taught to Uddhava, the Uddhav Gita, Uddhava should speak that Uddhava Gita to Nar Narayan Rishis, as well as get the association of Nar Narayan Rishi. Why will become evident very soon. So Uddhava is going to Badrika Ashram to meet Nar Narayan Rishis because Krishna, who has gone back, Krishna said that you, Uddhava, get my association via Nar Narayan. So Nar Narayan staying at Badrika Ashram, Nar Narayan are special avatars of the Lord because Nar Narayan are twins. So Lord wanted to enjoy this special rasa of twin brothers, and therefore Lord incarnated as Nar Narayan. And these are real unique avatars. I will become evident in next few statements. So Lord wanted to enjoy brotherly relationship rasa. Hence, at times, Balram is elder brother, and at times, Balram as Lakshman is younger brother, because Lord wanted to enjoy both sides of the relationship, being elder and younger. And still, the rasa of the twins is different. And this is what Lord wanted to experience through the Nar Narayan avatar. So Nar Narayan as avatar of Lord are special avatar, first because they are twins. So Nar Narayan is actually one avatar, but in two forms. Hence, Nar Narayan at times are called as avatars of the Lord. Plus the second reason, which is explained in Mahabharata, that Nar Narayan are actually Arjuna and Krishna from Mahabharata time. That Arjuna and Krishna during Mahabharata time were Nara and Narayan in that avatar form. Now the question may come up, how can Nara means human, and Narayan means Lord, be twins? The answer is that this is Lord's Leela. And therefore I said this Narayan is a real special avatar. Because Lord wanted to enjoy this different rasa in different forms and relationships. And further, Narayan teaches cooperation. Now, during the Narayan time, there was a demon named Sahasra Kavach. So Sahasra means 1,000 and Kavach means the kavach or the covering that you have, that or a shield that you have. Now this Sahasra Kavach demon was very difficult to defeat. Therefore, Narayan worked cooperatively to defeat this Sahasra Kavach demon. And the story in Mahabharata goes on to describe that this demon Sahasra Kavach was actually Karna in Mahabharata. So Karna had only one Kavach, while this demon Sahasra Kavach, this demon had 1,000 Kavach. Therefore, it was difficult to defeat. And Narayan defeated this demon with cooperation. So this was cooperation was one point that Narayan taught, and the others speciality what Narayan taught is how to do tapasya. They did a lot of tapasya, and this was Shivangi's question, that how can Arjuna and Lord be Narayan? So I have briefly clarified, although I'm only talking briefly. The lecture was for more than an hour. I'm only summarizing in brief to what Shivangi was inquiring. Shivangi, does that help you? Shivangi? Everybody on the same page? I'm assuming Shivangi is not able to unmute.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Preeti, go ahead.
Prabhuji, is this story there in Mahabharata about this Narayan?
It's
about
there.
Yeah,
it's there in Mahabharata.
This Mahabharata book, right, Prabhu? What we get in temple?
So depends on Mahabharata books. There are different print versions. So depends on which print version you take, and depends on how much details are available in that particular book. So
Prabhuji, can you share your book, Prabhu, from where you read this?
So there are multiple places, and I am summarizing. That's a very lot of research that I did. So focus on what I just summarized rather than going through the lot of details. So we don't. We have read in Srimad Bhagavatam that we don't really need to go to Mahabharata, except when what we have to find a particular answer about. Because Mahabharata is at Karmakanda level and Mahabharata is for less intelligent people. It was just there was a specific question, and therefore I went and did my research. Of course, that was a lot of research that I had to do. So just focus on what I gave you as a summary form.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Somebody else also had something to say. All right, we are at 9:15 a.m. Toronto time. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody. And next week, please read Canto 4, Chapter 8.
Yes,
Sure,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare
Pranam,
Krishna.
Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.